Getting my CCIE was actually a process. It wasn't setting a couple hours aside. It was actually a 8 to 12 month process in which my learning curve just went up exponentially.
I got a pretty good new job shortly after getting my CCIE. I moved out of being a low-level NOC position into the network engineering staff, and then I got hired by a training company shortly thereafter.
I have become a specialist in my group. I have become an expert, and people think like, oh, you are a CCIE, so you should know your stuff.
I realized how little I know, because when you pass the CCIE, you understand that there's so much more to know than what you already do know.
The CCIE has often been referred to as the PhD of Cisco certifications. It carries with it a badge of honor, and it's a route to higher pay and membership in really what's a very special club, right? It's got a reputation.
It really does, and now I'm not a CCIE, so let's go ahead and get that off the table, because I don't want to imply anything, because these guys.
I'm disappointed to know that, by the way, because
I play with CCIEs on TV, as they might say. But Jimmy Ray's got more than he's willing to admit.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing: CCIEs, I've gotten this feeling after having worked with so many different engineers over time. It literally feels like something like the Marines is what it reminds me of, because these guys have shared a bond, a trial by fire,
right.
And then they know that when they look at another one, that person has also been through this, and because
so like the Marines of networking.
That's a good way to put it, actually. I mean, they really take this thing seriously. What they do now is they'll get leather jackets. A lot of times within Cisco, a manager might get you a leather jacket. So congratulations. I don't think they get that automatically, but you get your CCIE number on there.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. But you know what? I mean, I'm not saying it to make fun, because I fully appreciate the fact that they've been through that, and the fact that they're celebrating it, and they're saying, you're now in this club, and now, boy, you keep up those certifications because they keep making it harder.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, you and Jimmy Ray spent some time at a whiteboard to do some deep dive into the details, right?
We sure did.
Let's take a look.
Big changes to CCIE Route Switch, kind of the granddaddy of the certifications realm, if you will. As they go to version 4, I was looking at some of these changes here. I want to get your perception. So the big areas: planning and evaluation, performance routing, optimized edge routing, EIGRP, that's a mouthful, version 6. Speaking of 6, IPv6 multicast.
That's a big one.
Gave you a shutter before, because that's big stuff.
Yeah, that is big stuff.
MPLS and Layer 3 VPN. As we talked earlier, you said MPLS is the one that not only do you need to understand as an engineer moving forward for the work that you do, but definitely for passing the test, and it's heavily featured in this version 4 of the update.
Right.
Why? Is that practical to the degree? Do you think these changes are the right ones to be made?
I do. The thing about it's kind of funny about certification exam is that when you're studying for it, you want to be the easiest exam possible, and after you pass it, you want to be really hard, Right. It's different on the CCIE because, we all have to research, and so that if it gets more difficult, then eventually it's going to be tough for us as well. MPLS it has been considered for a long time to be more of a service provider technology, and something you'd see very heavy on the CCIE SP exam. Now, we've moved it into here because we're seeing it actually replacing frame relay a lot more, and it's a lot more effective, it's a lot more secure, and it gives us more abilities to design networks. So as we're bringing it closer and closer to the customer edge, it's more important that as a routing and switching, as a foundation engineer, that we understand MPLS.
So if you're an engineer that works for a company or an enterprise, you're not on the service provider side, you're saying that is still knowledge that's going to be helpful?
Absolutely, positively, yeah.
Just kind of understanding, what do you need in the field versus what do you need to pass a test. Obviously, we're focused on certifications and getting past the test.
Plus, we don't want to go to a service provider and they start talking MPLS.
Oh, and understand
and just go, okay.
Right. Or be able to know if the service provider is telling you what they're supposed to be telling.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So just from a base level setting perspective, MPLS is valuable. Why?
Well, here's the deal. MPLS, let's just do a quick walkthrough of what it is.
Okay.
Because a lot of folks may have not even messed with it yet. It is a new thing. So we'll talk real quick about MPLS. If you understand VLAN tagging and you understand frame relay, then you understand a lot about MPLS already. Okay. So it kind of gives you a leg up. So look at it kind of in that arena. MPLS is, as we all kind of know, if remember the OSI model here of networking, all people seem to need data processing, which is, obviously layers 1 through 7. MPLS kind of exists right here. It's really considered officially a layer 2.5 type of protocol.
So right there near Ethernet too.
Yeah, it really is. And so what we're looking at is basically a header, a label that is applied just after our layer 2 information. As you can see down here on this slide, it's my layer 2 header,
Right.
and I've got my label that's on here, and I'm applying a 20-bit information right here that's actually saying, that just has a number, and it's how that would be equal to like a DELC or a VID of how to actually direct that traffic across. Like, so if you understand frame relay, if you understand VLANs, those are all locally significant, and I'm understanding how this works on the wide side. So this is probably the really cool area here is what we're calling the experimental side, and here's where we can actually set. We got 3 bits here, and just remember, we're trying to use VLANs kind of as an overlay to kind of understand this wider technology.
Right.
Just like we have a class of service bits in there, this is really kind of our class of service where we can do some traffic engineering, QoS, that type of stuff. The S in this frame is called bottom of stack, because you can take these labels and you can start stacking them up. Just like I'm doing down here, I'm stacking every one of these labels up so I can actually tell it different directions to go in the network. But then my time to live, of course, is so I don't get routing loops, right? So that those packets don't live on infinity and keep going round, living.
Right.
So we'll protect that. But you can see here on my label stack, I'm at the end of layer 2, but right at the beginning of layer 3. And this is where, and this is how my labels stack up. Now take me to the next slide, Rob, and let me show you something how this kind of works. Now, this looks like a pretty busy slide, but this is how MPLS works kind of in action.
Okay, so I want to be able to promise, if you say this is really complex and this is a show, we're only talking for 10 minutes, this is going to be something that's going to help if you foundationally understand some of the concepts you're talking about here. It's going to get you over a good hump.
Don't be afraid of it, because a lot of people look at MPLS as being a very service provider type of technology, and it's like it is, and you can get, just like anything, get very complex with it and stuff. But just get the fundamentals down. Don't be afraid of it, because it really has evolved from a few things. MPLS came from Cisco tag switching, right? If you remember tag switching back in the day, we took that tag switching, gave that up to the IETF. They made it a standard, and that standard became MPLS.
Right.
And so it's, that line's a little low, but whatever. You kind of get the point. And it became MPLS, and so it's something that we know, and it's something that's really not that tough to learn, but as you get better with it, it's just like anything else. Man, you can really do it like you see, you can use a hammer, but then you see a carpenter with a hammer, man, they can do a lot more with it.
But one of the benefits you were mentioning before you jump into this one too deeply is the fact that this is also enabling enterprises to do some very creative things from a long distance perspective, because you're down there at that lower level, allowing you to, I think you said you can maintain spanning tree protocol.
That's right.
Large geographical distances, things we wouldn't have considered from an engineering or design
that's right. Go
perspective,
back to slide 1 again real quick, and you're looking at where I'm living right here. I'm living right here at layer 2. When I'm looking at MPLS, what I'm doing is I'm looking at these labels. My provider edge router, my PE.
Oh, so you're taking the IP address out of this?
Yeah, you're not even looking at this. This stuff is forward up the stack. What looks at this is my customer edge router is looking at this IP address. So it allows me to be incredibly creative. I can use what we call pseudo wire when we're setting this up, and I can have my pseudo wire actually connecting data centers for like data center interconnect, and we can have this stretching from Dallas to, so we'll say Dallas DAL here, and we can have a data center that's layer 2 connected. I can use multipathing, whatever the case may be, to a data center in Milwaukee. We got our pseudo wire set up here, and I'm actually passing layer 2 traffic and sending this at very high rates of speed, and maintain this and really setting this up. Now a lot of people, they get a little get the quiz, because once you're inside the cloud, it's a little kind of hard to track this stuff because it's inside. But you know what? It works pretty good.